All right, folks, there are 50 months of pre-construction inventory in Toronto GTA. So what does that mean? There are 5,000 units and projects that have been already cancelled. Some of the Toronto pre-con condos have been already built, but nobody is moving in. So I have some questions I would like to answer. Let's talk about it. I would like to touch on to Calgary, right? Because I received some recent phone calls regarding Calgary and their market. So I'm not an expert there, but I can share what I got recently, and it doesn't look that good. So let's get into some of these questions. And let me tell you guys, like if you have been following and you know, right? Like, you know, I've been talking about pre-con, and it's very dangerous. It can actually sink everything else around it, because it seems like that everything is tied to one another, right? Like it's a chain link effect or reaction, right? So pre-con is overbuilt, right? And as mentioned, there's 50 months of inventory. I mean, it's almost impossible to clear all of that stuff, right? It seems impossible because, like, look, like people are not investing like overseas and stuff like that. That gig or that particular story seems to be over or close to over, right? So it is what it is. But let's get into some of the questions. What does 50 months of inventory really mean, right? Are we already deep into the buyer's market without admitting it? So yes, we are deep into the buyer's market, but the buyers are also breathing heavy. On top of that, there's obviously a setback here, right? Because making a decision, purchasing a condo, now we're also dealing with inventory. And when you deal with heavy inventory, what it means, there's a lot more choice, and there's a lot more choice. There's obviously more time spent with an agent or self-search looking or trying to find the bottom in the market, trying to find the best deal out there, right? So in some experiences, I've seen that people are, you know, looking in a particular pocket in a community, and then all of a sudden they shift quickly or drastically into something else, maybe another city, town, community, and whatnot, right? So then, which means it's a drag, right? Something that we could have found like within 2-3 weeks or a month, now it's taking buyers 8 months, 12 months, and that creates that jet lag effect, basically, right? And people don't care, right? Like there's really no pressure in the market, right? So what does 50 months of unsold condos inventory says about the health of the GTHA market, right? Well, what does it mean? I mean, overbuilt, and on top of that, it's overbuilt with stuff that people don't want. Like, you have to remember that, right? Like, you know, some of these small, unused shoebox condos, right? Like, they were geared towards investors. Period. That's what it was made for. And unfortunately, investors either pulled out long time ago, or they're not playing this particular investment game anymore, right? So yes, huge problem. Could this be a sign of a permanent oversupply or just a frozen demand cycle? I think, like, look, like, I don't think that that you can freeze a market, right? Like, the market would always go on. But at this point, we have an oversupply of something that we cannot fulfill, right? And, you know, a couple of things have to fall into place. Obviously, affordability. You have to have, obviously, more population and the demand push in order to fulfill all these checkpoints. And then here you go. You have the market back on track, which who knows how long that's going to take. Why are developers canceling thousands of units? What's driving developers to cancel over 5,000 condo units even after marketing and financing? Well, I mean, like, look, to them it's a lose-lose situation. One, they have to obviously take into account a development fee or per square foot or development charges, right? So when they do that, by the time they reach that point, boiling point of actually digging the ground and putting a tower up, the prices may change, right? The development prices may change. So there's really no profits at the end of the day. That's what it comes down to. And if there's no profits, then nobody wants to do it. I mean, there's really no urge or satisfaction to do something, right? Like, imagine yourself, if you have to invest $100 million into a tower and return on investment is 1%. You would say, well, why am I going to do all the work, right? On top of that, there's really no demand, and I see the supply all over the place. So how can you offset that? Very easy. Do you have a much, much better product from a much, much cheaper price? Then you can win. And yes, you will sell because the value is so much higher than the actual dollar amount, which in this case, I don't think it's even possible to do in this particular market. Are lenders pulling the plug, or are developers giving up first? I think it's a little bit of both, right? And I believe that, the lenders see the red flags, right? They see the red flags. Now the media is obviously, the mainstream media, right, is picking up slowly on that, and they're releasing stuff to public and all of that stuff, right? Unless you've been watching this channel, Unlock Your Way, or some other channels on YouTube, and my colleagues and friends, that we have been posting and yelling and screaming about this phenomena or this situation, right? Then, they see, hey, look, the bank is there to actually make money as well. So if they see that the risk is extremely high, then obviously they're going to raise the bar, raise the interest rates, or raise something in order to secure themselves first. And that's I mean, you know how that works. I mean, that's just crazy, right? And the banks will not entertain something if they don't see any profits. All right. How many more projects are at risk of being delayed or abandoned altogether? Well, in my opinion, I think every project today is at risk. It doesn't really matter where it is. It could be downtown Toronto. It could be on the outskirts of Toronto. It could be anywhere in Canada. I think it is at risk, right? Because if numbers don't work, then obviously, the profits don't work. It's very simple. And it seems to be that those are huge, huge, huge problems and indicators that more and more of these projects are falling, right? And even projects with brand name companies. We're not talking some A, B, C, D builder, right? They just started from finishing basements and they went into this gig and all right, they went under, right? So it's more or less understandable, right? We're talking reputable, triple A builders, right? Know what they're doing. They have the funds and all of that stuff. They're even throwing in this towel nowadays. All right, so where did the buyers go? Why are new condo sales down 62% year over year? Well, where did they go? I mean, the buyers are still around, and there will always be buyers. I think the better question here is, can these buyers be qualified? Because let's be real, we can find probably 1,000 buyers today that are willing to buy even the crappiest condo, the smallest condo, the condo that's a shoebox for $150,000, right? Not for $500,000, but $150,000, they'll buy it, right? So what is it? It's price. It's worth the value versus the price, right? Because some people, they don't mind. They would probably live in a small condo, right? They don't care, but it's just they cannot afford it, period. So when that's out of the equation, out of the question, then obviously you have problems, because it's not moving the needle anywhere. All right, have high mortgage rates finally priced out both investors and end users? Absolutely. I mean, like, you know, rates, bank rates are huge, they huge weight, right? Like, they hold huge weight when it comes, because that's money, right? Like, if you can borrow money cheaper, obviously you're gonna move quicker. You will have more to move, right? And we have seen it during the pandemic, right? And all of that stuff. Like, we've seen that people were like, you know, like buying like all these property because money was cheap, right? And whenever money is cheap, people, no limits, let's go, give me more, right? Because you want to get there as soon as possible, right? But nobody's thinking about the after effect and all of that stuff that you have to carry, and the commitment, and like, nobody's thinking about that. They're just thinking, look, I need it because it's cheap. Is the pre-con market model based on future growth collapsing under today's costs? I mean, look, pre-construction for a long time made sense, right? Because people that had extra cash, it was a safe bet, right? Like, you didn't really have to do much, but you could have gotten results, right? Put a down payment, you amend it in the process, you collect the profits, and where you go, right? So many people caught onto that, and that created huge problems that we're seeing today. Oversupply and all of that stuff, right? So I think that's not really the way to go, because, you know, you also need to have a healthy population and a healthy budget on average in order to support all these projects, right? So that's just the bottom line. Why are brand new buildings still sitting empty? Why are dozens of move-in ready condos sitting unsold in major markets? Could be many things, but one of these, I would say, items on the checklist is definitely folks that have purchased it in the peak, right? And they purchased it, they hold on to it, they have even closed on the unit, which is fine, but this is what's happening. They cannot reduce the price, because if they do, they would lose money. So they're just holding on to these units. These units are sitting empty. Some of them are even trying to lease them, but unsuccessfully, because finding a good tenant today, it's a lottery. And then they're like, okay, so whenever you start the conversation about price reductions, is like, don't even go there. Why not? I mean, if it's not moving and you have, you know, 100 units that look like yours or maybe better for less, right? So now you have to compete the other way around, right? And nobody wants to do that. Like, nobody wants to reduce their price. So I think this is definitely one of the major items on the checklist why they're sitting. Are resale units now a better deal than pre-construction? Well, absolutely, right? And there's it's a catch-22, and it depends. So one could be, you know, in a resale, you already have the set price. You already the unit is a clean slate, so you buy it and where you go, you move in. If you buy new condos, it may depend. Maybe they're in a phase where the buyer pays the HST and pays some of the closing costs and all of that stuff. So there are too many variables attached unless it's already considered now a resale, right? And it could be that, you know, the new condominium is in the stage of rental, right? Like you know, occupancy phase and all of that stuff, right? Like, so there are too many variables, and you have to be definitely careful when buying these units that are pre-con. And therefore many people are afraid and scared nowadays. What happens when price growth stalls and rents cannot cover the mortgage? Well, listen, it's been happening for a long time. It started, I would say, from 2022 and onwards, 2023, high interest rates and all of that stuff. And now it's like literally standing on a train track and looking at a train, right? That's what it feels like, right? Because some of these folks, they have high mortgages, maintenance fees, taxes, closing costs, you name it, right? The keep up, and now they have tenants that cannot even cover close, right? Not even close to the actual amount that some of these guys need monthly in order to carry. Let's not even get into positive cash flow, because that's unheard of, unless you put on a substantial down payment. I'm talking 70% down, you might see a positive cash flow. But if you're in the 10-20%, like, oh my gosh, see you later, you know what I mean? All right, is pre-con now just a risk that nobody wants to take? I would say 100%, right? Unless you're specifically looking into an area and it makes financial dollar sense to a buyer, right? And there are many items on the checklist. I like the location, I like the floor plan, I like the price, and there's nothing in the area that can match. Yeah, why not? I'll buy it, right? Like, well, what are you gonna do, right? But other than that, I think everybody is trying to run away. And for most of you that don't know, I mean, like looking in some of these, I would say, towers, it takes years and years before a tower gets completed. Yeah, technically it is completed, but they still have to work around it because there's so many flaws and little things here and there in the underground, or elevators, or check-in, check-out, like on-ramps, off-ramps, party rooms, theater rooms. Like, I've seen towers that completed, and then after a year, half of the stuff it's still under works, right? But it is what it is. So it's something definitely to pay attention to. What comes next for the condo market? Are we going to see more cancellations, price cuts, or even deeper bankruptcies? In my humble opinion, 1000%, right? I mean, do your own research and all of that stuff, but I believe just because there's so much piled up and it's now being carried on individual owners and buyers and landlords and speculators, right? Like, it's carried on their back. Eventually, that little straw will break the camel's back. That's what it is, right? And there are some people that are being hopeful, which is the right thing to do, right? Like, you're staying positive, you're staying hopeful, you're staying, you're staying into the game. I understand that, but the reality is different, right? So let me give you a quick story, right? Like, it's a little bit off topic, but this is the story. Look, like, going into space with a rocket, it's very expensive, right? So what do? You try to cut the cost, you try to come up with technology, you try to do this and that in order to go up. But the majority of the cost and tension is in that fuel. We need 50% of capacity to get up there. Okay, fine, no problem. So let's move further now. If, for example, we could build an elevator to space, like, check this out, you might have not heard that, but they're claiming that they could build an elevator to the space, which is 20,000 miles up there and all of that stuff, right? So obviously we cannot build it with steel, we cannot build it with X, Y, and Z, right? So this is exactly what's happening right now. Everybody's trying to find a solution, right? How to clear that inventory, right? It's like, okay, so we need new material in order to build that elevator to the space, and someone invented that material, right? So you would say, okay, fine, that's the solution, right? We can fly up like for cheap. If we build it once, that's it, right? But think about this for a second. This nanomaterial, right, that has been developed, that's stronger than steel and all of that stuff, it took them years and years and years and years to develop this particle to be half an inch, which means exactly the same theory. Like, everybody is hopeful, but we cannot clear this particular inventory, right? Like we don't have enough fuel in our population. We don't have enough affordability. We don't have enough of an economy to fuel everything just like that. Is it gonna take years? Yes. How long? I don't know. But as you see today, that even the developers are giving up, and they're calculating same way. Hey, look, I mean, like, I'm not gonna bet my dollars, my millions of dollars to something that I cannot have a return on. And that's the game, right? So as soon as you see the house not betting, that's it, right? All right, could the condo market freeze up for years while everyone waits for clarity? Well, look, condo market is already frozen, and it has been frozen for a long time, right? As mentioned, there's the last straw that will break the camel's back, one that's gonna, you know, who knows? Like, at this point, it's all individually based, but as I can see it and sense it, no matter what is happening, there's always somebody being weaker in that tower, and they have to lower the price. So that price will be the next set price for everyone else. And as mentioned, like, I've spoke to someone, they have purchased a 3-con condo in Calgary, right? And Calgary was hot, was booming, like us here in Toronto and all that stuff. And they called me, they're like, hey, look, I want my tenant out, like this and that, like I need to sell it quick, I need the funds, like, you know, it's creeping up on me and all of that stuff. I said, okay, no problem, right? So the tenant is paying, they want to kick them out sooner, so because they want to sell it faster, right? When we went into that process, their condo, right? They're like four small, low rise, like I said, six floor, right, buildings. There were 65 comparables, not 65 listings, 65 comparables to theirs, right? They in their head, they had something around $360,000 to $370,000 of value in their head. If they break 290 to 300, it would be a miracle. So now they're sitting and they're like, but that's not correct. I said, why? Well, because those condos are you know, 360, 370, right? Like we paid back in the day 270 plus the closing costs. We might even lose money at that price. Well, yeah, yes. Like if you get your money back and you walk out without a scratch, it's a miracle on its own. So this is what I'm saying. Like, people don't understand that there's so much going on at any given moment, and we just don't know what would be the next bad or good thing for our economy, right? So final thoughts. What if this isn't just a slowdown, but it's a sign of systematic failure? Well, I think it is, right? Because like it is breaking. It broke a long time ago. People can't afford it. People will not buy it. As simple as that. math, like elementary school math. Very simple. So this is what's happening. I mean, people can want stuff, but unless they can come forward and pay and honor it, call it a loss. I mean, like, nothing will move. What does a build more supply mean when the existing supply can't sell? I mean, like, look, build more, we need more and all of that stuff. I mean, I've done videos on this. You know, like, there are different campaigns and marketing campaigns and political campaigns or whatever, right? Like, they want to build 500,000 homes in Canada. I mean, the highest we have built was, you know, in 1974. And then, like, we couldn't even break that record in 2021 when everything was unlocked. We had better machinery, we had better skills, we had better this, we had better money, we had more population, we had everything. We couldn't even break that particular number. So what are we even saying? You know what I mean? But, you know, when it comes to this, it just comes down to price. People will do something if they can make a profit. They don't see the profit. On top of that, inventory is too high. They will not move the needle, right? So on top of that, there's a lot of stuff in jeopardy because somebody calculated, not me, but somebody calculated that there are more than 500,000 trades and people and different industries involved, right, in this pre-construction slowing down. So imagine, like, you know, designers and agents and people just moving and marketing and selling and buying, and like it's a chain reaction of 500,000 plus people, right? So I think we're definitely heading into a recession, and it could be even a nosedive recession, because everything is fine until it isn't. And you know best. If you're very lean or dry on your bank account, you know there's a problem. Nobody needs to tell you that. No news, no YouTube channel, nobody. You know and you feel when things are not smelling right. So I truly hope you gain some value in this video. So if you believe and if you think there's someone that should watch this, please share it, like it, and I'll see you in the next one.